Western New York, the 1820s. The burned-over district, scorched again and again by waves of revival. Competition for souls ran so hot that Palmyra became known for 4 churches on the 4 corners of a single intersection, each facing the others across the street. Into that crossfire of faiths walked a farm boy with a question. Joseph Smith looked up and looked down. Above him, in his own words, the sun, the moon rolling in their majesty, the stars shining in their courses, a heaven of perfect order. Around him, pulpits at war, every sect certain the rest were wrong. God, he concluded, could not be the author of so much confusion, and his answer was breathtaking. Joseph claimed that God the Father and Jesus Christ had appeared to him in person, that through him the Lord would restore his true church, and that, as a sign of that calling, he would translate an ancient record written on plates of gold. In 1830, both came forth, the Book of Mormon and the Church. Converts followed, first hundreds, then thousands, to the alarm of the churches he had left behind. Within a few years, a committee of opponents in Ohio set out to explain it all away. They hired a recently excommunicated elder, Doctor Philastus Hurlbut, and yes, Doctor was simply his first name. His motive was no secret. He had been cut off from the church for adultery on his mission, and he turned that bitterness against it. He traveled to Palmyra and came back with a sheaf of sworn statements against the Smith family, which a newspaperman, E.D. Howe, printed in 1834 as Mormonism Unveiled. But the affidavits don't need their collector discredited. They discredit themselves. So let's do what Hurlbut never did. Let's actually read them. Start with the simplest problem. The original affidavits no longer exist. Every statement we can examine survives only as Howe chose to print it. And what survives begins to rhyme. Lay the group statement signed at Palmyra beside Parley Chase's independent one, and they follow the same outline. Claim acquaintance, declare the family disreputable, accuse them of digging for money, conclude nobody believed them. The historian who studied them closest reached the only verdict possible. Hurlbut composed both. 3 separate witnesses even put one identical line in Joseph's mouth, that he called himself as good as Jesus Christ, words no one else ever heard. These aren't independent memories. They're one script, signed many times, and where the statements differ, they collide. William Stafford swears Joseph promised to show him the golden plates. Peter Ingersoll swears Joseph admitted there never was any such book. Both cannot be true. The son of one affiant asked about his father's sworn tale that the Smiths stole a sheep, answered flatly, "I don't think it is true." They were meant to corroborate each other. Instead, they cancel out. Then the heart of the indictment, that the Smiths were lazy money diggers who would not work. Their own farm answers it. These idle men cleared 60 acres of heavy timber, tapped 1,500 maple trees, and worked some of the best land in the county. They paid their debts. 3 of them kept Presbyterian membership until 1830. Unthinkable in that day for anyone truly addicted to vicious habits. You cannot spend your days chasing buried gold and clear 60 acres of forest. The arithmetic refuses. This is the ground Hugh Nibley made his own. He read these affidavits the way he read any ancient document and pronounced them diatribes, not evaluations. The genre was so formulaic, he wrote its satirical rulebook. How to write an anti-Mormon book. And to the sworn charge that the Smiths bragged about how well they could lie, he gave the perfect reply. Skillful liars don't boast about it. These were not observations gathered. They were a verdict written first and witnessed afterward. And consider what the file leaves out. For every hostile name Hurlbut collected, historians have since found 3 friendly recollections he passed over, because they did not serve. The pattern turns it inside out. The better a neighbor actually knew the Smiths, the warmer the memory. Orlando Saunders, who grew up beside them, said it plainly. They were very good people. Young Joe worked for me. He was a good worker. I always thought them honest. An affidavit is only as honest as what its collector left out. And notice how Joseph answered. As Hurlbut lectured across the region, vowing, witnesses swore, to wash his hands in Joseph Smith's blood, Joseph did not return slander for slander. He carried the threat into a court of law, and the judge ruled in his favor, binding Hurlbut to keep the peace. He met the attack the way an honest man meets one, in the open, on the record, and let the truth stand. They thought they could dismiss a faith by dismissing its prophet, but weigh the affidavits on their own terms. One author behind a dozen names claims that contradict each other and the record, a witness list built to convict, and they collapse as evidence. For all their venom, they aimed at the translator and never once touched the translation. And whatever you decide about Joseph Smith, the Book of Mormon, if it is true, is itself the testament to his calling. That is the one question his accusers never dared to ask. Lights and Perfections.